Hi, this is Judy from Fox Cities Quilt Company, and this is Sunday from the Sewing Room. So today I'm going to talk to you about taking care of things that you don't necessarily care about. So for instance, we've been doing the isolation mini quilts, and I had to make one for a sample so that I could write the directions for it. And when I got done making the sample, I didn't really care for it, but I didn't want to throw it away because honestly, that's $15. You wouldn't take a 10 and a 5 and throw it in the garbage can, and I don't believe in wasting. So what I did with it was I made a little pillow, and this is the pillow that I made. So I wanted to show you how I did this, and then here is the back of the pillow. Now, this fabric is pretty wild, and how this got so wild was I was at home making this. I messed up on the background fabric that I had, and I didn't want to wait another day to make it, so I had this weird background fabric in my stash, so I just used it because I thought it had the same colors. But as you can see, it's pretty loud and it's kind of busy in the background. But honestly, I have a girlfriend that lives in Florida, and she likes funky pillows, and she has orange cushions on her lanai, and this might look fun on there. So I thought I would give it to her. So what I did was, you already know you're going to get directions on how to make your top. And let me turn this inside out so I can kind of show you my process for this. So what I did was I quilted my quilt top. I just sandwiched it in between some muslin, and I'm turning this inside out for you. I just sandwiched it in between some muslin and batting, and I made a quilt sandwich, and all I did really was I did some stitch in the ditch on it, so you can kind of see where I stitched in the ditch. But in the corners, I didn't want to lose my points, so I wanted to make sure that I quilted around those diamonds that were in the corner. So you can see them all quilted here. And I will turn this, leave this over here. So in order to make the back, which is kind of just your little envelope that you're going to put your pillow form in, I measured my block, or my little mini quilt, and it is 15.5 inches square. So, and I knew that at 15.5 inches, that's awesome, because all I have to do is use a fat quarter. So I found some scrap in the closet so that I could just show you how I did this with a fat quarter. So this is the size of a fat quarter. A fat quarter is about 18 by 20 to 22 inches, meaning it is a half of a half yard. And what I did was I've tried to square this up as much as I could quickly so that I can show you how to do this. So this is my fat quarter. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to trim this fat quarter up to the width of my quilt square. So that is 15.5 inches. So I'm going to go over here and lay this down onto 15.5 inches. And I am going to just trim that right off. And now I have a piece of fabric that is the same width as my mini quilt. So now I'm going to turn this the other way because I want to work with this other way as well. But I don't want to trim too much of the length off of it because I want it to be able to envelope. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to trim this down to 21 inches, just like this. And let me get my scraps out of the way so you can see. So now I have 15.5 by 21 inches. And what I want to do now is cut this 21 inches in half exactly. So half of 21 is 10.5. So I am going to lay this down, and I am going to cut this to 10.5. So now I have exactly 2 pieces at 10.5 so that I can make my little envelope. So if I were to overlay this to 15.5, you can see by the shadow here that I will be able to sandwich that over and make a nice pillow back. But you don't want these raw edges. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish up these raw edges. And let me show you how I did that. So I took each half of the piece that I had just cut in two, and on the 15.5-inch side, I folded it over once and gave it a press, and I folded it over one more time and gave it another press. So that way there's no raw edge here and there's no raw edge on the top. So there's no raw edge here and no raw edge there. And then I just stitched it down. So I just stitched it in a dark thread so that you could see how I did that. So that's just a regular stitch, and that's the other side. So now what I'm going to do, once I do that to both pieces of that fat quarter that is trimmed down and cut in half, I am going to lay it on top of my pillow. So, or my mini quilt. So I put one edge down and I pinned it and I laid the other edge on top. And I'm just going to double this over again so that you can see it. And of course it goes right sides together. So you can see that that is the right side of my mini quilt. And I laid this edge down, right side, and I laid this edge down. And let me kind of show you that again. This is going to double it up, but this is so you can see it. So I'm laying this down so the fold is on the inside, and I'm laying this down so that it covers that fold as well. If you put your other fold out here, you won't be able to get your pillow in. So, and we want those raw edges to match all of the raw edges. And then what I did was I pinned it. And let me grab a couple of pins because I forgot to grab pins and show you how I pinned that. So I pinned it here on this side first. So, because I wanted to pin so these don't flap open. And then I'm going to pin on this side as well. Okay, then I turned this whole thing over because I sewed on this side because I did not want to lose my points. So now I'm going to pin here, and I'm also going to pin here, and making sure that all of my raw edges of my pillow backing or my envelope matches up. And then I would put 2 more pins here on the top and then pull these out. So when I stitched all the way around, I stitched so that I could see this side up. So I stitched right next to that point so I did not lose my points all the way around. And that is a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around and here. So you can see if I have this side up, I'm not going to lose my points. So let me take this apart. And once you get it sewn all the way around, it will look like this on this side, and it will look like this on this side. And then all you have to do is reach in and turn this right side out. You don't have to worry about leaving an opening because your opening is in the center. And I'm going to turn this right side out, and I will take a purple thing or a stylus or something to poke those corners out. If you want to get them really nice and sharp, you can clip those corners, but don't clip your stitches. And then you can see, once I turn this right side out, that I have a funky little pillow case, and then I can just put my pillow form in the center. And then I did not lose my points. I still have my points all the way around because I used the quilting as my guide for my seam. So that's it for today from Sunday from the Sewing Room. Waste not, want not. Don't throw your stuff that you don't like away. It may be somebody else's treasure. Thanks for stopping. Bye-bye.